So, all right. So we are recording. Hey, how about that? So let's go here. Before we dive into all that other fun content and information and kind of the dialogue behind the dialogue, what questions do you guys have? What do you want to hit on really quick as we open this dialogue, this conversation up today? Sweet. Here's my other question. How many of you were on the Homeward call yesterday? Okay. So we've got more training coming on that one, right, Amber? When's our next training session for that?
So we have an email going out to our people tomorrow morning. Yes, I know it's Saturday. You're welcome. There are 2 training events coming up with Homeward. One is December 15th. One is December 17th. Both are from 1 to 2 p.m. When you get that registration link, make sure you register through that. I don't have any control over any of that, so make sure you go through there. It will give you an email with the Zoom link for that webinar and the password that you guys are going to need for that. It also adds you to their distribution list. So you guys will get all of the marketing materials and access to their Homeward Certified Agents Facebook page that will connect you with other Homeward Certified Agents in the states that we're currently active in.
So here's the fun part about Homeward, and this is why we brought it to the market centers. Yes, we could do this through Knock. Personally, I know Tim. I've known Tim since 2011. He's a buddy of mine. I know the company he runs and I know how he operates, and he's very agent centric. Knock, we all know, came into the market as an agent competitor. So I'd rather work with an agent centric company than an agent competitor that could become an agent competitor again, like a Zillow, and off we go. So with that being said, here's how it works. And this is the way I would pitch it. And honestly, as an investor, I look at this and go, holy cow, this is stupid. Here's what it allows your buyers to do. Anybody have multiple offer situations with their buyers? Say aye. Anybody not winning some of those multiple offer situations because you have contingencies? Say aye. What happens if you're able to write that as a cash offer? No contingency.
And real quick, Jake, that's actually what I'm getting beat out on is the cash offers.
So think about it this way.
I never thought to use it that way. Brilliant. That's so smart. There's my takeaway. Have a great Friday.
Oh, it gets better. No, don't leave yet. So think about it this way. If I'm buying a $500,000 house and it's listed for $500,000 and there's multiple offers, if I have a contingent offer, what do I have to do?
Sell.
I'm either selling or I'm making a contingent offer for 510 or 515 or 525 just to be considered. Yeah. So I'm going 3 to 5% over ask just to get an offer.
Right.
Do you know what the fee is to use their money? 1.4%. So if I can go in with a cash offer at $500,000 and get accepted because it's a cash offer at $500,000 and can close in 2 weeks if needed, I just saved my seller and / buyer a ton of money. Number one. Number two, they build that fee into the close and into the loan. So it costs them like $10, which is actually less than what they would actually be paying had they had to go out and beat somebody else out with a higher offer. And this is where it gets really good. Go back to statistics for a minute. We just saw Colorado Association of Realtors pushed out that we were down 47% year over year in inventory. Think about this for a sec. If we have 47% less inventory on the market today than we had last November, what does that mean? Simple supply and demand. If we have more demand than we have supply, prices are naturally going to go up. So if I go buy this house, cash offer, get it for a reasonable price, close, move out of my old house into the new house, get the new old house cleaned up. It takes 2 months and we're appreciating it about 1% a month. And now I sell my old house cleaned up and vacant, and I just picked up another 2 to 3% appreciation because I had it for another 60 days. What happened? It's a win all the way around. So this is why I'm super excited about it. FYI, my team does not have access to this program because the market center that my team happens to exist in is not participating. Just a heads up. There are 3 market centers in this entire region that have access to this program. That's it. Us, DTC, Highlands Ranch.
By us, for those of you with my office that don't know what he means Park Meadows.
Us, yeah, because I'm sitting in Park Meadows today. Because you can tell because it's got a gray background.
I just thought Jake was losing it a little bit. I'm like, don't you mean Highlands Ranch?
Yeah, that. And that. All of us. And yet that's why we're super excited about it. It's an opportunity for our clients. It's an opportunity for you guys to really give them a benefit that they may not have had access to before. So make sure you get into the training. Make sure you get there. It's super cool. Because as we start to lay out the rest of what I'm going to tell you about, this is where the opportunities show up. FYI, if you're working with investors, they verified yesterday that they'll actually do this with investors. So part of the challenge with an investor is if I go to sell one of my multi-units right now at the top of the market, I have 60 days to identify property. That's a pain in the neck in today's market as an investor. However, if I find a great property, I can actually buy it with Knox money and do a reverse 1031 exchange, meaning they buy it for me and then I sell my property and then I close simultaneously at the same time and do the 1031 exchange in that way. And I just saved a boatload of taxes. So you see how fun this is? If you're new and you are not following this conversation, it's okay. It took us all a while to get to this point, and we'll continue to teach you all of it. It's awesome. However, this has got so many different benefits to it that we're going to be able to bring to our clients and really help out. Go dominate the market with this. Seriously, go crush it. Here's the fun part. What are some of the questions we're hearing from our clients right now? What's happening with forbearances? Are we going to have a foreclosure crisis again in the beginning of next year? Et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Yes? Anybody else hearing any of that kind of stuff? So what do you think the answer is? And none of us have a crystal ball, by the way. Otherwise, we'd all be wealthy as can be. All we have is data. So let's look at the data. Here's my opinion. If you ask my business partner, who I love dearly, Roxanne will tell you the sky is falling and we are going to hell in a handbasket. 2008 all over again. I don't believe it. Mainly because I spent 10 years in lending, so I understand the back end of what happened in 2008. And I understand what the catalyst was to 2008. And it was because stupid people like me were giving people 120% loan to value loans, thinking the market was just going to continue to appreciate.
And subprime interest rates.
I don't know what you're talking about with an 80-20 with a 2-year prepay.
Stop with your subprime interest rate.
That's how I paid my bills for a while. It was good. We sold a lot of subprime. Here's the reality. 80-20 with a 580 FICO. 100% financing. Stated 100% financing with a 620 FICO. You could be a waitress and make $600,000 a month stated and qualify if you had a 620 FICO. Does that exist today? If you have a 620 FICO, can you buy a house? Ish, right? It's not nearly.
You better have a lot of cash to put down.
Better have some cash. However, that's the market we're in today, and that's the difference, right? The lending is tighter. Because the lending is tighter, what it's allowed us to do is also see the appreciation increase. Because we've seen the appreciation increases the way we have, people have equity. Back in 2008, people didn't have equity. So I'm going to share my screen for you for a second, and we're going to go through a few stats and graphs and statistics that will hopefully give you some background to all of this. Actually, you know what I'm going to do? Let me go here first. Let me go pull it up. Stop that. All right, let me go find it and I'll get you done. Make sure I've got this up. So here's the fun part. As we look at all this and we kind of keep this up to date, here's the key to the conversation we're going to have right now is understanding that we've got to educate our clients. And this is all about educating. So let me share the screen and we'll start here. By the way, this is a picture of Gary's chart from last month. So that's why you're going to see the mess on my desk below it. Sorry about that. However, what this picture shows us is the breakdown between how much people are earning per week and the level of unemployment based on that segment of earnings. Higher wages on the left, lower wages on the right. The blue is the wages. The pink is the unemployment. So just take a quick look at it. Which section of wages has the highest unemployment?
By far, hospitality.
Yeah, the farthest right, leisure and hospitality. By the way, in 2008, where did the crisis start? Who got bailed out first in 2008?
I was in high school.
Oh man, you are making me feel so young. 2008, the banks got bailed out first. Are they higher wages or lower?
Higher.
Higher. So in 2008, we started with the higher end wage earners, and then it trickled down into everything else. Right now, 16.3% of the unemployment as of November was actually in the leisure and hospitality industry, restaurants, hotels, et cetera, et cetera. They make on average $445 a week. If you're making $445 a week, do you qualify to buy a house? The other thing that we found, and I don't have this chart, is that this typical age group with the highest level of unemployment, about 24%, are under 24.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'm going to pause here, and this is where you're going to hear Jake's quasi-passion, and I might say a bad word. I have a kiddo. He's 21. I love him to death. I found out over Thanksgiving he's been getting $800 a month in unemployment. Why did I want to punch the mother effer in the face? Because he hasn't told me about it, and guess who's still paying for all his crap?
Sucker.
Guess who hasn't paid himself this year to make sure we keep all our business running? So the government's paying my son to go spend a bunch of money on alcohol at CU. I mean, on PS5s. Because that's what he's doing. He's actually buying PS5s and then selling them for $1,000 instead of 500. Go figure. He's just like his dad. And yet,
Of course he is.
that's kind of the plan. And long story short, I found this out, right? Well, here's the thing. I asked him, I said, so of the 8 people you live with, how many of them are all on unemployment? 8. What about your girlfriend? Unemployment. What about all of her roommates? Unemployment. I'm looking at a 16.3% unemployment rate with hospitality and leisure, 24% if you're under 24. And we're paying unemployment to a bunch of people in college. And there are actually people that aren't in college that can't qualify for unemployment. It's a messed up system. That's my opinion. I'll stay out of it from there. However, that's why I'm having a hard time trusting the numbers, because when you really go to the other side of this and you look at the highest paid professions, finance, 3.8% unemployment. By the way, is 3.8% unemployment acceptable? The answer is, of course. Anything less than 5% is considered great. 6.1% in professional. So 5 to 6%, it's okay. It's not great. It'd be better if it was below 5. However, it's not horrible. It's not going to lead to an economic downturn. 4.5% in wholesale industries and trade. Right? As you continue to go across, the next highest piece that you got to worry about is transportation. Well, what's happened with the airline industries? What's happened with the busing and railroads and all the other fun stuff, right? I mean, that has been impacted. However, it'll come back as pieces come together. So really, when I look at what's going on economically, I'm not overly concerned. I do believe there's going to be opportunities. So save your money, tell your clients to save their money, get the home equity line of credits on your house if you have that risk tolerance, and be ready because it's going to show up. It may not show up in our market. However, it's going to show up in other markets. Just be ready to go. Number one. Number two, here's the next piece. And I'm going to share a different screen with you as I pull this up. Let me stop this one really quick. And there's another set of graphs I'm going to show you that's a little bit more along the same lines of what we just talked about. So this comes from a report that I'll actually shoot this link over to you, Amber, if you want to distribute it. And basically what this is it's all about how we're not headed for a foreclosure crisis. Now, here's the flip side. This article is super Pollyanna. Oh, it's all going to be great. We're going to appreciate it 11% again next year and things are good. I don't know if that's the case either. However, the support that they give us does give us some comfort in understanding where the issues are. Because here's the reality. There was like 112 foreclosures that closed last month. Somewhere in there, in the Denver Metro. That was it. If you went and searched foreclosure right now, and foreclosures, REOs, bank-owned property in the MLS, you're not going to find a whole lot. Amber, you could probably pull that number right now and tell us what's there. And yet the reality of it is, if we see a 100% increase of 112, that means we go up to 250 or 300. We're selling 6,000 houses a month.
Yeah.
300 is not going to do anything other than help alleviate a little bit of the pressure. And instead of having 42 offers on a house, we're going to have 28. So understand, we got to see, you're going to hear percentages that are going to start to show up that are going to sound super frightening. And the reality of it is the media is going to tell you the story they want to tell you to get your ears, because that's how they get paid. Here's what people need to understand. And this is the story we can help everybody understand. We're not going to be in a crisis. We will see it. It's going to show up. Your neighbor may have their house foreclosed. However, when you look back at history, so this graph shows the amount of home equity that was cashed out through refinances over the last 20 years. Look at 2005 to 2007 and how much equity was getting cashed out of properties. So go back to 100% financing, easy money, easy lending. Your house was your bank account. It was your savings account. It paid off the debts. It paid off the credit cards from Christmas, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. That's what was happening. Now you fast forward a year like today, where you've got interest rates that are below 3%. We're not seeing a huge increase in cash out refinances. We're actually fairly stable based on what we would normally see. What that means is people are being smart with their equity. They still have it. Here's the proof. As you scroll down, of the 5.76 million homes that are in forbearance and were granted forbearance, this is what has happened. 2.4 extended the forbearance, needed more time. 2.3 were removed from forbearance while they were performing. What that means is they were actually still making their payments while they were in forbearance, and they were removed from it because they were okay. 500,000 actually paid off the note. Now, that most likely means they refinanced. However, some of that could have been they just cashed out a 401k and paid it off. 481,000, the forbearance either expired or they're in loss mitigation, meaning the bank is working them through the foreclosure process. This is a national number. And 80,000 are either expired or severely delinquent, meaning the bank is in the process of foreclosing on these properties. Yet still 80,000 with all the metroplexes across the entire nation is a drop. It's a drop in the bucket when you look at the millions and millions of homes that are going to be sold this year. So I'm going to pause for just a second. When you look at those two graphs, you add that back in with where the unemployment really sits. What are your aha so far? What are you taking away?
It's just a completely different picture than it was in 2008. People have more equity, they're being smarter with their money, and they're not, it's showing that they're not at risk.
Exactly. So the risk isn't nearly the same, number one. Number two, most of these mortgages are also 30-year fixed mortgages, where what we were doing in 2006, 7, and 8 was adjustable rate, highly aggressive adjustable rate mortgages, meaning once they adjusted, it wasn't like a small adjustment, it was like a 2% increase in the interest rate. So all of a sudden overnight, you go from a 4 or 5% interest rate to a 7% interest rate on a $300,000 note, which means you're paying an extra $500 a month. Right? That's not what we're seeing today at all. Here's the other thing to know. Who are our home buyers? How old is the average first-time home buyer?
26?
Close. I would love it to be 26. It's actually 34.
I was going to say closer to 30.
Right? 34.
Wow.
So go back to that slide before where you look at unemployment and you look at job sectors of unemployment. Most 34-year-olds, what sectors of the economy are they working in?
Right. They're in the farther to the left. So they're in the one that they're dropping off.
Yep. Only 7% of home sales nationally are sold to people under 25.
Yeah,
So-
this is a great aha.
So when you really look at it, where the bulk of our unemployment is, 20%, 24% of unemployment, is where only 7% of the transactions happen. The rest of it averages at 6%, which is actually okay.
Mhm.
Which is actually okay. So here's the last slide I'll show you. And this goes back to what you were just sharing, Madison. Check out the loan to value, average loan to value of those that are in forbearance. 62% have less than 70% loan to value, meaning they have at least 30% equity in their property. If these guys can't get back on their feet, what's going to happen?
They'll sell it.
They're going to sell it and they're going to walk away with a boatload of equity. By the way, side note, this is what my team is focusing on right now.
Maybe they downsize.
That's exactly what, well, here's what we're doing. We're taking 2 to 3 listings a week right now, just because our marketing is focused on this subset of people. Here's what's happening. They're selling their property. They're pulling their cash. They're setting it aside in a different account. They're going to rent for 12 months. By the way, now their credit's good. And then they're going to turn back around and they're going to buy a duplex or a fourplex, live in one side and never pay a mortgage payment again.
House hack.
It's all about house hacking.
That's what I'm going to do.
It's all about house hacking. And because of that, they'll do that for a year and then they're going to go do it again with the rest of the cash they've got. And then they're going to do it again. And what a lot of our clients have found out is they went from this place of panic to a place of, holy cow, I could actually get to a point where I've got my bills covered within 3 years.
You're taking a moment of panic and turning it into a great opportunity.
Of course. Right? Warren Buffett said it. He said that the greatest opportunities were created when everybody else was running away.
You just have to have the eyes to see it.
You got to have the courage. I almost said a different word. To jump in when everybody else is jumping out. Right? Honestly, this was a conversation I had with my wife when we bought the place up in Keystone. That was not on our horizon. However, the opportunity showed up. It was right. We had the cash, we had access, we had the ability. I got a loan on it for 30 years, fixed at 2.625% on a $900,000 loan. I don't know why the bank would ever give me that kind of money for that low of an interest rate. However, I'll take it. Here's the flip side. We just put it on the market 10 days ago, and we've already collected $36,000 gross rents. The fear was if the ski resorts don't open back up, we may have to figure out how to pay for this thing for a year until COVID figures itself out. Worst case scenario, we're prepared for it. We set aside the cash for it. Best case scenario, ski areas open up, all the locals go flood it, which is what's happening, and it rents like crazy. And it is. And the longer we keep homeschooling our kids, the more people want to stay up there. It's wild. So it's working out. So here's the other thing. Where are the opportunities? What other areas have vacation rentals that have been ravaged? There's this really, really cool place called the happiest place on earth that really wasn't very happy for a while. And Kissimmee, Florida has a ton of vacation rentals and a ton of investors that bought them and a ton of investors that are in trouble. You can go pick up vacation rentals right now in Kissimmee, Florida for pennies. By the way, you got to be willing to weather the storm until things get back to normal. However, at some point, Disney's going to open back up. And I don't know about you, the trip that we canceled this summer, my kids still want to go on.
They won't let you forget it.
Oh, heck no. Heck no. Trust me, they're telling me right now, hey, Florida's open. We could go, you know. And I'm like, can we get back to making some money again? We'll get there soon. I mean, right. But it's the fun thing of being a coach and being a traveling coach, doing both the way I did. Obviously, when the world shut down, my world shut down, which was fun because it gave me the opportunity to really get focused here and have some fun with y'all, which I enjoy. And if we've got some really fun stuff we're launching next year because Jake's ADD that is really going to help. And the flip side to that, though, is it opens up incredible opportunities. So just pay attention. They may not be here. You know, we bought an 8-plex in Pueblo for less than $100,000 a door in August. So there's opportunities that will start to show up. We just have to be willing to take advantage of it. When you look at this chart tells you what you need to know. If they're over 90% in loan to value, that's where you're looking at potentially a short sale, potential of walking away because it just doesn't make sense, potential foreclosure. If you're 85% or less, our job is to go find those people and help them maximize the opportunity that sits in front of them before the bank takes their house.
Hey, Jake.
Yes.
Based on the appreciation that people are talking about, do you think that loan to value is going to change?
Substantially. Because if you're at 90% right now and you're appreciating at 1% a month, how fast do you increase?
Just a couple months. There's feedback, by the way. Do you hear that?
Only on your side. Unless it's on mine.
I have no idea.
Could be. I think it's the unicorn.
Don't blame her. It's not her fault.
So here's the fun part. The opportunity is there. It exists. Here's what I would challenge y'all. Take a look at your own world, right? The first thing that Gary challenged us to do as coaches in March was look at our own worlds and see if we could cut 20% out of our budget within a week. I happened to be sitting at the homework table with my wife and asked her to listen to this conversation with me. And when he said that, she looked at me and I thought she was going to basically tell Gary to go fly a kite. However, we put everything down, sat down and really got serious. And here's what we did. We pulled out 3 months worth of expenses. We pulled out 3 markers, red or a pink. It was a pink highlighter, a yellow highlighter, and a green highlighter. Anything that was a required expense, mortgage, auto insurance, food, stuff like that, was green. Anything that we didn't even realize we were still paying for, because that shows up, was pink. And anything that we thought we'd like to have, Starbucks every morning, was yellow, because I thought I could justify Starbucks. It didn't go over very well, not with my wife. However, first thing you do is you get rid of the pinks, right? One of the things we found out, we were paying for 2 Netflix accounts. Doesn't seem like a bunch at the time, right? It's $15. That's why you don't notice it. However, all of a sudden, when you're going to cut everything out that's unnecessary, you figure that out fast. So we cut that out. Well, here's the funny thing. I realized I was paying for it on my phone, because somehow I had set up an auto subscribe when I was on an airplane somewhere, and off we went. So then I pulled up my phone, my wife's phone, my kids' phones, and looked at all of the auto subscribes that are on there. And I didn't realize half the stuff that was getting spent for things that we don't even use anymore. That was just going to get charged, right? So go through your budget. And when you do that every month, take your last 3 months worth of expenses, and this is everything, credit cards, bank statements, any place you spend money, and you boil it all down, and you take an average, you create a budget. From there, then you get to really look at the budget and go, okay, do I really need to spend $200 a month on clothes? Or could I actually cut that in half, take $100, set it aside, and start to save to go invest in real estate or invest in other assets or other opportunities as they come up? And as you're having those conversations with yourself, have them with your clients. The other place we've got a lot of hidden money that most of us we're aware of, yet we don't realize we can use it, is in our own home equity. I mean, when we refinanced our house, we had $300,000 note. I think we had $308,000 on the note. It appraised for almost $800,000. I had $500,000 in equity in my house. So we pulled out $275,000, sat it in an account and said, I'm sure there's going to be an opportunity for this somewhere. By the way, my mortgage payment went up $200. That was it. And then the opportunity came up to buy this place in Keystone. The opportunity came up to buy the apartment complex, and combined, those 2 opportunities are going to make us about $80,000 next year. It'll more than pay for my mortgage payment. So how can we trade for other assets that are going to pay us on a regular basis and help us live the life we choose to live? Is the question we always ask. That's all I got for you today. So what are your ahas? What are your takeaways? What are your questions?
I got a lot of I definitely need to look at my own personal finances. Look at the option to pull equity out of one of my houses as an opportunity to have cash for their investment. Well, these Shark things are blowing my mind.
It's amazing.
I can't wait for someone to tell me, oh yeah, we're about to have a crash in the market. Have something to say now.
Yes, that you do. And here's what I would always say is, look, there's a myriad of different resources. And depending on what you choose to watch, you're going to be able, you'll draw, right? It's the bold law of what you focus on expands. If I focus on the Chicken Little story that the sky is falling, I will find ways to support that belief. Here's what I'm going to tell you. There will be challenges in our market, 100%. We're having challenges today. Let's be real. We don't have enough inventory on the market today for the buyers we have. It's a pain in the butt. I will welcome inventory. The flip side to that is if we prepare today for the worst case and it never shows up, we've just got a bunch of liquid cash ready to invest in the right opportunity. What else?
Jake, this will not be the only time that we go through this, because this is like the fourth time I've gone through this. And you do learn, but if you would listen to what Jake says, I gotta tell you, it could be interesting for your pocketbook.
We took advantage of '08. For those of y'all who know my story, that's when I started buying real estate. I started buying investment properties. We were buying houses. The first house we bought is on Kentucky, right off of Alameda and Federal. By the way, awesome location, great food. Not sure my wife would ever want to live there. However, we bought this 2-bed, 1-bath house for $55,000 and got the bank to pay the closing costs for us in 2008. Rented it out for $800 a month, $850 a month. My mortgage payment was $250, $252. It cost me $11,000 to get in that house. My dad and I went in on it together, so it cost me $5,500. We put $7,000 in repairs. Scared the crud out of me. That house today, just appraised for $352. It rents at $1,600 a month, and it's paid off. It was the first of now 55 doors. Now what we're doing is we're going through refinancing the $2.3 million in notes that we do have, the 8 loans, cashing out about $1 million to put in the bank, because our new mortgage payment's actually going to be $2,000 less than what we're currently paying on mortgages, and we'll have $1 million in the bank. And then the intention, we found an opportunity this week, an example, $180,000 5-plex, Champlain, Indiana, rents for $3,920 a month. I could go buy a $180,000 5-plex and make $4,000 a month and have it cash. So I can take that $1 million and go do that 5 times and turn that extra $1 million into $20,000 a month gross. That's what Don is telling you. Be smart today. Take advantage of the opportunities as they show up today. If you find an opportunity and it's the right opportunity and you don't know how to put the deal together, call me. We'll get it put together. We'll find a way.
I feel like that's my spirit right now. Is just making have the cash, I'm living in an apartment. So I can go house tomorrow just to make me decisions. It's scary.
It is. And we need to talk, because we'll teach you how to do it. It's fun. And that's the coolest part. I mean, that's the conversation I have with my kids right now. Part of our dialogue, and my wife and I, our date night tonight is going to be this dialogue and conversation, because we've been talking about it and we got to make a decision, is are we going to start pulling SEP parent loans instead of paying cash for our kids' college, and then buy investment properties for our kids with that money instead, and have them repay back the loans through the investment property portfolios that we help them establish. Because when you're paying $40,000, $50,000 a year to send your kid to college, you can buy 2, 3, 4 houses for that.
I vote for that one.
Right?
Yes. Having sent a child to college, yes.
And all my kids are going, will you really do that? And I'm like, yeah, of course. It'll be a 50-50 deal, and you got to pay me back first.
Yeah.
And then it's yours.
Yeah.
So,
That one going down with mine.
you know, it's changing the landscape. And that's the cool part about these opportunities. When they show up, when you're ready, you get to change your future. You know, it's the conversation I challenge everybody to do, is really sit down and go, okay, what's the difference between leaving a legacy and living a legacy? Because every day we live a legacy. The question is it the legacy you choose to leave, or is it just what happens to happen? Do you own it? Do you own the story, or is the story just happening to you? by the way, Bold's coming. I get to be the coach. It's going to be phenomenal. We're rewriting the whole thing and it's going to be like this. So show up. It's super cheap too. It's $199. If you're interested, let Amber or Amy know and we can get you signed up. They've got some ways to take care of it through agent billing and some other things. So show up. It'll start January 19th. So 3 hours.
Do you know the courses like Bold that are specifically investor focused? That would be good.
That's what Maps asked me to write.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm like, I would love to have something like that. I mean,
That
I'm super motivated by bigger profits, but
Yep.
I want
That-
a course that like goes.
That program will be available probably by the end of the year, based on what they're asking me to do. And if you'd like to talk more about that, feel free to reach out, Madison, because I do have a private program, consulting program that I run for real estate investors, so we can have that conversation.
Reach out to me, not him.
Yeah, that's true. Reach out to Amber. She'll get you on my calendar.
Love it.
Awesome. What are your other ahas? What are your other takeaways? What questions do you have? We got a few minutes left.
I'm gonna be super curious to see how this plays out with the college unemployment, specifically when it comes to them buying houses in the future and what that looks like. So that was really interesting.
Isn't it interesting? By the way, how many houses did you buy this year, Mr. Saxton? Because I know you guys started this process.
Yep. So we've got 3 houses right now. So we bought. Well, we actually house hacked our first house.
Yep. You house hacked the first house, bought the one you're in now, and then you got the other one in St. Louis, right?
Correct. And we're just about to house hack the house we just moved into. We're actually gonna build another house and do it to this house within the year. So
I love this.
Yeah. So we'll have 3 doors, by this time next year for sure. But I'm focused on getting at least 3 more. So we'll talk.
Awesome, man. Congratulations. Great job.
Thank you.
Great job.
Real quick on another nugget that I got, Jake. The homeward stuff is so interesting. And I can tell you right now that I'm having a different conversation with homeowners that I had months ago, that they don't know what to do in this market. They're just holding onto their house because they don't want to jump in because they know what it looks like to buy another house and overpay for it. And that's just, that mindset has been in our market for years. So being able to provide them with really a solution to that is already changed the game.
Run with it.
This week out of it.
Sweet. And what I would say is this: run with it and share with our other agents what's working, because this is how we as within our market centers truly take ownership of the South Metro area and just crank it. Just crank it.
Yeah, absolutely. These two didn't actually go with the homeward, but I brought up the option of it and we worked through it, and it just started the conversation.
It's all it's there for.
That's all it was.
And that's what Tim said. I mean, when I was talking with Tim, he's like, look, I don't expect everybody to do it. And I said, neither do I. He says, however, to be able to have the conversation, it opens the door and gets you the appointment. And that's the difference.
Couldn't be more true.
So awesome, awesome, awesome. I'm super excited for what we're bringing next year. There's so much cool stuff we're putting together. Debbie's launching it right now with the boot camp. I can't remember what she's calling it. All I know is she's asking to get my trainer, my physical trainer, to come and actually launch this thing. And he's like this big ex-Marine, big old dude. She's like, I want him to come and beat him up. So it's going to be awesome. It's going to be phenomenal. Dive in. Park Meadows is going to be invited to be a part of that as well. We'll get more information out to you guys, and we're going to have some fun with it. So
Also Lucy Parker, January 20th.
Lucy Parker. Anybody know who Lucy Parker is? So Lucy Parker is a friend of mine. I met her when I was coaching in Bold in Houston. She popped through. She came in for Mega Camp a year ago. I was coaching in Houston. She stayed, came into the Houston Bold, spent the day with us there. She's from Dubai. She was one of the original team leaders in Dubai. She sold to Palm Jumeirah. She's one of the top agents in Dubai. And she's done it all through social media and Facebook. And so she's going to come in. What was that date again?
So Lucy is January 20th.
So
Lucas
she's gonna-
Howard is January 6th.
Oh yeah. So Lucy's January 20th. She's going to talk to you all about how to maximize Facebook and your social side of it. She's doing it for both market centers. She actually offered to do it for free because she likes me, I guess. We're friends. She wants me to go over there for the World Cup with my kiddos, and she wants to take us on a tour. So whole nother story. Hey, if I can fly over there, teach a class, and write it off, I'll do it. Is that bad? And then Lucas Howard is another really good friend of mine. He's out of Grand Rapids, Michigan. Anybody know what was going on in Michigan with all this stuff and what's still going on in Michigan with all this stuff? They were shut down and deemed non-essential for 2 full months. And his team still did over $100 million this year. They came back 60 days after the shutdown and took over 100 listings. So
In 30 days.
In 30 days. 30 days.
And they closed what, 120 units?
128 in 30 days. So I asked Lucas if he'd do a special presentation with our market centers and talk unfiltered. Now his unfiltered is different than my unfiltered. He's got a clean unfiltered. Jake's unfiltered usually gets me in trouble.
Less to worry about.
To speak very openly and candidly about how we in a market like we're in today with such limited inventory can really go out and maximize that opportunity the same way they did. So you'll have him, he's going to kick off the year for us. And then you've got Lucy, and then we've got Bold, and we are off to the races. So I'm super excited for how the year's going to open up. Thrilled about how it's ending. So keep on running. Did I get everything, Amber?
Unless you've added something else to my calendar you haven't told me about.
Not yet. I didn't get fired yet.
No, you didn't.
All righty. Hey, make it great. Have an awesome weekend. Enjoy. Get out. Enjoy the sun and the snow.
Thank you, Jake.
You're welcome, y'all.
Thank you
Have a
so
great
much,
day.
Jake.